So again, hello and welcome to Job Seeking Local Help and Resources, presented in partnership with WorkSource Rogue Valley, Rogue Community College, BBSI, and Jackson County Library Services. This is a webinar, so your mics are going to be muted and your cameras are off. We will have time for question and answer, so please use the chat button to type any questions that come to mind. Q&A will be used for technical assistance. On the JCLS website, you'll see our upcoming programs, and you can find books on topics we discussed today. Also available are job-seeking tote bags with information to help you find your next job. These are available at Ashland, Eagle Point, Rogue River, and the Medford Library. At all of these branches, you can go to the main desk and ask for a tote bag with information on job seeking. So be sure to schedule a mock interview with the library as well. We can do an interview with you to share how the process works and give you example questions and get you a little bit more comfortable before your first interview. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to show you a little bit about what we have to offer at the library. This is our website, jcls.org. I'm going to show you really quickly how to get to programs and events. So we're going to scroll down, click here, and you're going to see everything that's coming up first. And you'll see whether it's a take and make, whether it's something that you can attend. There's an indicator right here if it says it's online. And so that's where we are right now. And you can also search by date. You can search by keyword. And so let's go over and see a little bit about books. These are some of the books that you can check out if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the job seeking process, whether that means you're wanting to understand how to write a resume, a cover letter, how to be ready for the social interaction aspect, how to be on social media for job seeking. If it's been a while and you're rejoining the job search. So, and also if you have some challenges, there are ways to navigate that too. So I will introduce very shortly here our speakers, all of whom will need access to their cameras. And so first I want to introduce Carrie Tannehill. She is one of our librarians. Then Ellie Anderson is another librarian at JCLS. Hope Smith comes to us from BBSI. Andrew is coming to us from RCC. And Bob Miller, who will be visible here just shortly, is with us as well. So as I'm kind of adjusting something here, I want to go ahead and give the mic over to Ellie.
Yes, I work in the Adult Services Department at the Ashland branch of Jackson County Library Services. So if you stop by the Ashland Library, you can come upstairs and say hi in person sometime. What I'm going to do is share my screen. There we go. Everybody see the Jackson County Library website? Good. Okay. So my piece of this evening is to show you all the best resources that we have through the library and that you have access to with your library card that give you information about doing some research for career change, which is the main subject of this evening. So here we are. First of all, I'll show you how to get there. Here we are at jcls.org, which Alana just showed us around a little bit. And I'd like to draw your attention over here to the menu button, which is yellow. And if you click on the menu button, you see lots of options. And one of them, and over here on the left, there's About Us, there's Explore, there's Learn, and there's Events. Learn is what we want this time. click on Learn. And then under Resources, there's a bunch of different categories. And tonight we're looking at Career and Education. So we'll click there. And under Career and Education, there are quite a few different databases and electronic resources to look at. And both A to Z databases and Brainfuse Job Now have some great job seeking resources, including some information about how to research for a job change. But I took a look, and I think that Learning Express has the best information. So click on Learning Express, and it takes us here. Now, Learning Express has several different sort of modules here for different types of learning. The ones that matter the most to me, I'm missing one. Okay, the ones that I'm going to switch over to the one that I've logged in. Here we go. The one usually you see Career Preparation and Job and Career Accelerator when you go over here. It will ask you to create an account at some point in your process of going through all of this. All you have to do to create an account is put in an email address and a password. It's really pretty straightforward. And the reason that it asks you to create an account is because it keeps track of different things that you do using this tool. There are practice tests you can take, there's resume builders you can use, there's quizzes about what kind of jobs are the best fit for your skills and interests. And you can also save listings or articles if you want to go back to them later. So that's why they have you create an account. Let me show you first the Career Preparation module. Click there. And it shows you, I'll scroll down a little bit. There's different things it says you can do. Learn more about a career. We'll give you access to ebooks that give a summary of what it's like to work in allied health or the culinary arts. Or it also can give you sort of instructions on, do you want to be a caseworker? If you want to be a caseworker, here are some steps to take to move you in that direction. That's just downloadable ebooks. You can also learn some job search or workplace skills. The workplace skills are sometimes they're things like business writing, but they're also things like email etiquette in case you're transitioning into a career which involves a lot of that kind of communication, and maybe you haven't done that before in your life so far. And other just sort of like office skills that don't necessarily come naturally if it's not something that you've had experience with before. I also think it's super cool that there's all these different practice exams. And they are, let's see, lots of different topics. I looked at civil service because I felt like maybe I could do that one. And there are practice exams, prep books for a couple different categories. Within practice exams, there are, I must have timed out the login that I had before. So there are the practice exams, and you can set it to be in sort of learning mode where it shows you the answers as you go through. It can be sort of practice mode where it'll tell you if you get it wrong what the real answer is. And it can also be simulation of taking the test. So you really are sitting there just like you would be if you were taking the exam and getting things right or wrong, getting it graded and brought back to you. There's lots of them. So you can do it several times. Lots of different topics. There's also, within these centers, there's the adult core skills. And you can see there that there's sort of different, if you feel like you could use a brush up on your math, maybe it's been 15 years since you took a math class and you could use some things that you don't use in everyday life. There's math skills, your reading or writing, grammar skills. There's also citizenship and green card study supports, which is super useful within that. And there's some resources in Spanish as well, which is great. I'm going to try signing in because in addition to the career prep, when I was practicing this earlier today, it gave me the Job and Career Accelerator Okay. It does, I haven't spent a lot of time in here, but this is where it goes when you log in, and it shows you the different tutorials you've done, or tests, or courses, or lots of different things, scholarships. There we go, Job and Career Accelerator. That's the one I wanted to show you, because it has a bunch of different tools, but the couple that I think are useful if you're somebody who's like, well, let's see, I'm just starting out and I want to figure out what's a good fit for what I want to do with my career, or if you're somebody who is mid-career and would like to change and maybe feeling like it's time for something different, then you can do the Career Match tool, which gives you, the Career Match takes a little minute. Here we go. So there's a quiz you can take on what you can write in your interests, and it's like, would you like to build cabinets? Would you like to rewire a lamp? Would you like to cook a meal? Like, there's different things that you're interested in, and you can grade yourself on that, and then it'll pop up some ideas. The skills matter is more based on what your current skills are rather than what your interests are. I also really like this guidance piece over here, because that lets you look at where you are in your career path. So if you're whichever one of these you may be, you can pick which one you are, and it'll give you some guidance in terms of which tools this Learning Express has to help you, and some articles to read that will be most useful for you. So that's great. And then last of all, because I know other people have important things to say, I wanted to show in the Job and Career Accelerator the Explore Occupations, which reminded me a lot of the Occupational Outlook Handbook, which is we used to have in print at the library always, and it's still a useful website. But here in here we are, Explore Occupations, that's the one I mean. It'll give you different kinds of fields and jobs within those fields, in-demand occupations, STEM, green. There's some resources for veterans, and if you launch this career tool, then it will show you information about different fields. Like, say I wanted to go into education and I wanted to be an archivist, because that's and then it'll tell you, like, what does an archivist get paid in Oregon, because you can generally what are the hiring trends. Is it a hot job? Are people hiring in that area? You can choose Oregon instead of Alabama, or wherever. If you're interested in moving, you can say, well, is there work in my field in Alabama? And then it will show you what sort of pay rates, and then lots and lots and lots and lots of other things about that. And you can even save the sort of job card to your file, your center, and then you can go back to it later on if you sort of collect several that you're thinking about. That's a useful way to kind of prepare and think about possibilities. And you can also search for job opportunities within this field and within your area. Okay, so that's the quick overview of Learning Express, which I really think has a lot to offer for people who are looking to make a change in their career, or who are starting out and want to explore. If anybody at all who would be interested in stopping by the library, we could take our time and look through that together a little more tailored to your interests. And anytime that we're open, there's somebody who can help you out with that. Ilana asked me a question. She said, will Learning Express save searches between sessions? And I think I, toward the end, mentioned that once you log in, then you can choose to save things. And it'll sort of keep track of what you've done. But I think you have to tell it to save. It doesn't do it automatically.
Okay, awesome. And anybody who has questions, please put them in the chat and we will get to them as we can. Right now, I want to hand the mic over to Rob Miller. And so, Rob, you should be able to turn your camera on. And we are talking today about career transition.
Actually, I was hoping I could defer. I'm trying to get my list of topics. I had quite a few things I wanted to chat about. If that's possible, could somebody go?
Yeah. So let's hop over to Andrew from RCC.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So I'm going to share my screen with you and show you a few resources, some of which are not only accessible to RCC students and alumni, but also the general public, and then converse with you a bit more before turning it over to my fellow panelists. So then, hopefully you are seeing the career counseling website, and so I shall not be remiss. I'm just going to drop the link to this website in the chat. Well, actually, I'll do that afterwards. So our counseling department, among many things, offers free career counseling to RCC students and alumni. And this entails a lot of what Ellie was discussing earlier, because depending on what your career goals are or just your own personal story, people are in different places. So this could be someone who comes in and has not any idea of not only what they want to study or what jobs ultimately they may want to do, but what they may be good at. So the conversations could start there. Alternatively, if you have an idea of a field that you're already aware of and you want to pursue more opportunities more deeply, you could start there. For example, some will come in and say, I know that I enjoy business, but I've been learning more and there's apparently a lot of options within the business sphere. How can I narrow it down and determine what's best for me? So they can have those kinds of conversations with you as well. And it's explained succinctly here. So I'll drop that link in the chat later on. But going back briefly to our own department website, could someone please confirm that you're looking at the Student Employment Services? Thank you so much. We've been here before, but for today's topic, which is fostering an interest in career change, I would recommend firstly right here, this career development resources link. And again, our website and the information and the resources therein are open to literally everyone. So please don't be a stranger. So these 4 expandable collapsible bars hold a lot of excellent websites depending on what you're looking for, whether it's labor market data, whether it's like an interest inventory, or whether it's just general career prep information. So foremost, a lot of the resources that you see here are excellent for career exploration. And we've mentioned these, some of them in the previous series, but just to bring your attention to a couple, and I shall not infringe on WorkSource, don't worry, Joe. Road Trip Nation and Skill Point are wonderful career exploration and job search tools combined. And Skill Point, which is what I'm looking at right now, is sort of attuned to opportunities and training within the Rogue Valley as well. So whether you want to find training after knowing what you want to study, or whether you want to explore some careers to determine where your interests lie first, this is just a really information-packed and user-friendly website. So I highly recommend it. And it just sort of goes from general career areas to like the specific ones within the industry, right? And it gives you a lot of information about each particular job as well. So for example, you're looking at the transportation and materials moving industry. If you have always thought about being an auto body technician or perhaps a diesel technician, and you're wondering more about what that entails or what kind of training you need to be top notch and competitive in the Jackson and Josephine County labor markets, you can find that kind of information right here. And it breaks it down very nicely, including the specific job responsibilities, typically what kind of education or credentials are necessary, and you may be a good fit for this position if this is something that a lot of people overlook on skill point, excuse me, but I highly recommend it because it's just sort of it's intuitive. If you sometimes people inadvertently don't pursue something they want because they overanalyze it or they start self-sabotaging and thinking, I think I want to do this, but I don't know if I could, or I don't know if I'm willing to do X, Y, and Z. Sometimes it's just good to start out and keep it simple. If you're this, and this, then you might be a good fit for that position. I find that it's sort of initially encouraging, and then you can go back and look at some of the specifics from there as well. And then any job openings in the area, training opportunities, all of that is contained within Skill Point as well. So these are good in that regard. And ONET, I'm not going to click on it again, but we looked at it 2 weeks ago. This is a similar exploration tool for specific occupations. And it takes the information that you just saw in Skill Point and multiplies it by like 3 times to give you all kinds of in-depth detail, including career trends, like in the spirit of, people individually wanting to make different career moves. The economy, technology, all of these global factors are shifting things in the labor market left and right. So ONET will tell you certain occupations that have like a bright outlook where the trends are showing exceptional projected growth within the next 10 years and things like that. Beyond that, let's see. We have some more specific RCC resources for anyone who is interested, and some excellent training opportunities that are short-term and extremely practical would be internships and apprenticeships. So if you're wanting to do something and get training that's really quick and not an extended amount of time, which quite frankly, I think summarizes the vast majority of a lot of Americans in the workforce in the pandemic times, right? Now more than ever, those quick reskilling opportunities, if I can learn this for like, 6 months or 1 year or 1.5 years and be good to go, that's sort of the mentality. An apprenticeship, and we offer multiple apprenticeships at RCC, and Joe may know our apprenticeship director, Andy Anderson, who used to work at WorkSource Rogue Valley, and happily collaborate with Andy, and she's extremely passionate about connecting people in the Rogue Valley who are wanting to make different career moves with different kinds of opportunities as well. And then beyond that, some courses and things like that you could take. And then again, beyond that, the Marketing Me and Engaging at RCC gives you some helpful information here as well. And I brought this up today partially. I'm going to stop a share and then share again real fast, because I would like to show you the updated list of those transferable skills. Anybody who knows me thinks that I'm a broken record when it comes to these transferable skills, as some of you in this virtual room can attest. However, I can't place upon the importance, because this is literally how you're going to be able, in many cases, to make career moves, to switch from industry A to industry B. Even if you don't have a lot of the technical knowledge, guess what? Some of that can be learned on the job once you start your new role. But things like communication, teamwork, a strong work ethic, a willingness to learn and accept constructive criticism, organization, attention to detail, adaptability. These are the things that I find employers really desire, regardless of the field or the industry. So on that note, you should be seeing a PDF document. And this will be on our website within a couple of weeks. I actually just submitted a web order request to have some updates. So you should be seeing that soon, or I can send you this document as well if you just email me. But these are the top transferable skills according to the most recent spring job outlook survey with NACE, the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And I think that besides, it's doing your research and everything is absolutely necessary. But sometimes even before that, a little bit of self-reflection and just being conscious of your own work situations. If you're thinking about making a change, why? What aspects of your current situation do you dislike? But what aspects might you like as well that you want to carry over? Just to end with a brief story, I would also encourage you, in addition to the websites and everything, just talk to people and just learn more about them and their respective career trajectories. We were sort of doing this a couple weeks ago, and it's just really informative. Just to give you one brief example, my former supervisor and mentor, a man whom I respect very much, got his bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. And he was convinced that for 30 years, he was going to be working in the field, in a plant, doing that. And, it was shocking because I said, your background is vastly different from a higher education professional, someone who's like a director, basically for higher, he's a state government employee technically in higher education. So how did you get from there to there? He said, well, I used to work at the main General Mills cereal plant in Minneapolis. That's where I was based. And fun fact, if you've ever purchased gluten-free Cheerios, he's the man who spearheaded that effort. And I was, curious about that. And I said, well, there must be a lot of your engineering training that goes into that. And he goes, but you know what? It took me about 3 years into that job to realize, there's something missing here. And he did some reflection and he thought about it. What he liked best about his job was not the actual technical engineering component. It was managing the people and the plant. And it was working with them because some of them were going to school and just sort of talking with them one-on-one informally as supervisor, about what their goals were. And he realized that's what really brought him joy. And so that's what ultimately led him to higher education, because he wanted to create a pipeline for students, especially students of color, because my former supervisor is a person of color as well. And he wants to increase that opportunity within the engineering industry, right? So in order to do that and keeping the joy that he had with helping his own employees succeed in their goals and managing them and making sure that they were appropriately cultivating those transferable skills while on the job, he decided, I can do this if I go and work in some kind of school and capacity. And that's how he ended up there. And I recently spoke with someone else who had a similar story, who initially wanted to design video games and realized halfway through that they wanted to be a human resources professional because they just love managing the team so much. So we have a lot of stories like that, and they're excellent. So the resources that we have are wonderful and plentiful, and please refer to those. And in addition to those, just be willing to have conversations with others, myself included. And you may have a couple of wonderful accidental epiphanies that way too. And the last thing that I want to say is, you've probably heard it before, but it is never too late to change your career. In fact, as time progresses, more and more of us are going to have not just one, but 2 or 3 career changes within our lifetime. And that's okay. And that's something that will keep us fresh and conducive to ongoing learning. So I'll just end with that. And eventually I'll drop those links in the chat for you. So thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Andrew. And again, anybody who has a question, please pop that into the chat. I want to introduce you to Hope Smith, and she comes to us from BBSI.
Oh, Andrew, that was wonderful. It's interesting that you said that people change careers, because I was a mobile DJ and business owner for 20 years, and I retired and became a recruiter. So it was a huge change in career, but I loved the transition. So that was really well said. Thank you so much. I'm Hope Smith with BBSI. Kind of give you a quick what BBSI is and what we do. We partner with several business owners, 220-ish business owners, and we offer a wonderful array of services. And one of the things that we partner with them is in recruitment. So we help all of our business owners find really amazing candidates. And so we do a lot of the sourcing, a lot of the vetting, we do resumes for them, we help people, and we do just a wonderful array of stuff to help people get employed. But my tagline is we match great employees with great employers. So with that being said, I'm going to share my screen. I've got a little PowerPoint for you guys just to show you our team and a little bit of information that we have. So I am with a team of some amazing guys. We have Michael Blythe. He's been with us for about 3 months, and he actually comes from Intel and Nike. So he's got some really amazing stuff. That's him and I together at a job fair. And then Aaron Rushton, he is our newest recruiter, and he's only 5 days old. So we didn't have a picture of the three of us, but we've just really enjoyed being an awesome team. So just want to always introduce our team. So you know that you don't just have one person to help. We have three of us out there really helping people find amazing jobs. So I just kind of want to go over really, if you're looking to apply into a new industry or you're getting yourself started, you're wanting to change careers, this is kind of what employers are looking for. So when I'm doing interviews and I'm talking to folks and trying to figure out what's going on with people and everything, just making sure I got some notes in there. Nope. Okay. No questions. Good. We're looking for people that if they've never been in the industry and they're wanting to do something new, we're looking for a good fit. We're looking to make sure that personality matches, that what their skills are. Skills and experience are essential, but fit, make sure they're prepared. They've got great preparation. They've done their research. We're looking if they're resourceful. Did they search out the websites of the companies they're applying for, even if they've never been in that industry before? And willingness to learn, such a huge thing. If they want to learn a new skill or they want to try something new, a lot of times it's just showing up and willing to learn. And the other big one is passion. Passion is huge. If you've got a passion for what you're wanting to do, you're going to excel in it. And all those employers are going to see that. So when you go into an interview, even if it's a brand new thing, you have absolutely no experience whatsoever. If you can show those things, you can get that job so easily and so quickly. And that's where I transitioned from being a mobile DJ into a recruiter, because I wanted to do something completely new and awesome. And those are the skills that I tried to possess when I went into those interviews. Where'd my mouse go? There it is. Compensation. This has been a huge topic, and what to expect, because, many of you probably have noticed that, wages are going up in certain industries, and there's a huge competitive market out there right now to get employees to come to work, and huge incentives and bonuses. But it really does depend on the industry. And so I always say, aim high within your target. So if you know that you've got a specific wage you're shooting for, give those employers a range. Tell them, this is my bottom and this is my top, but know that your bottom is what they might give you if you're especially starting out. And that's okay. But it's okay to give a range and say, hey, this is what I really would like to make. Also, ask your interviewers about what that budget is for the position. Don't be afraid to talk about what it's going to take to be compensated for your skills and your passion and your love and the career you're going to. And do a little research and prepare ahead of time. The employment department has a really cool wage analysis that employers actually look at to decide what they want to pay somebody for a job. So they'll look at this wage analysis and they'll say, okay, so here locally, this job pays $35,000. Statewide, it pays $37,000. And they're going to see what that looks like compared to what's out there and what's available. So always do your wage research and see what's being offered locally and statewide. Really super important and fun. And then, of course, if you want to get your foot in the door and you're just not sure how, work with professional recruiters, work with RCC, work with the library. They know these business owners and they know how to get in front of them. Obviously, your employment department and WorkSource is incredible. We love them. Starting as a temp to hire can get your foot in the door. And BBSI also works with direct hire as well. So if you can get yourself with a really good recruiter, it's a great option to get your foot in the door. But if you can't, that's okay. Get yourself out there. Go out, talk to people, do the footwork, walk in, introduce yourself, and shake their hand. That has been such a thing we haven't seen in so long. So most people going out and applying are just saying, hey, I want a job. And if you can go out and say, no, I have a resume, here it is, shake their hand, introduce yourself, you're going to see a huge difference in whether or not you get that job interview or moving into a new career. This is the 2 offices that we have for BBSI. You can call me anytime. You can call and ask for Michael or Aaron. We have a Medford office and a Grants Pass office. And so we're there for you guys, and that's just what we love to do. And these are some of the positions we are actually hiring for right now. Some of them are career-based and some of them are not. So we do temp to hire, and we do long-term placement and direct hire. So if there's something you just want to talk about, or you just want to say, hey, these are the skills I have, what do you think? We're person to person. That's what we do. And so, you've gotten a lot of great resources today to look and see where some of your skills and matches are. But if you want to talk to a real person too, you've got some great resources here in this panel. A lot of us would love to just sit and chat with you and talk with you in person. So please feel free to give us a call. And that is really all I got, folks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Figure out how to stop sharing my screen here. Hold on. There we go.
Okay. Cool. So I want to invite Joe Miller to share a little bit about WorkSource Rogue Valley.
Hello, everybody. It's hard to know where to start. We have a lot of tools and a lot we do that a lot of people don't know about. And the interesting thing is, for the last year, we've been doing something totally different. The employment department here in Medford is actually just that. It's a center where you can go in and we help you find jobs. It's no cost to you. We have a ton of programs we'll be talking about. And the sad thing is that a lot of people don't know that we're there. Or they do, and they think we're the unemployment department. We actually aren't. But in the last year we have been. So it's kind of nice to actually have this conversation and kind of open up some of these tools that I haven't got to use in a while. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're just going to start at a few things. Okay. So I'm going to start with a couple of our tools, and I just want to get back to the beginning screen here. So this is one that was mentioned just a second ago, and this is qualityinfo.org. And one of the things we use this for is with businesses, trying to help a business owner perhaps, or a recruiter, or whoever might be creating a job listing, help them find out how much they should be paying. A lot of times it's not what maybe it should be in the area. So we have those conversations, and we use this tool to try to help them out. This information is local information. It's put into this system by local economists, and it's a statewide state system. So it's pretty legitimate information. And the way we also use it is with job seekers. So a lot of times we'll have situations where somebody's looking for a career change, and we need to know how much it makes, because there's those situations, which we all have, where we just need to know that it's going to be a living wage. So I'm going to show you one way to use this. And to get to this, it's just qualityinfo.org. And I'll make sure you have that link, or if somebody wants to post it, that's great too. You can also get to this site from oregon.gov, which is where you might be applying for your weekly benefit amounts for unemployment insurance. So the way I usually use this, there's a couple ways, but this is the most common, is I click on job and careers and go down to occupation and wage information. Now, this is the tool Hope was just mentioning, and I'm going to go to our local area, Rogue Valley, and I'll do a full report, and I'm going to put in, type in legal secretary. Okay, so there's a lot of information that can be seen at times. If there were local jobs right now listed with us, and we'll get to some of those listings. I'll talk about that too. They'd be right here. So there isn't. What I'm looking at right now is, oh, interestingly enough, this is very telling information. So right now, statewide, this is actually a position that's losing traction a lot. This could be because of COVID, actually. But you can see usually this shows this kind of range, 10-year range. We're, a couple of years into that. And it's showing that they project that by 2029, this job will have lost quite a few positions. So 32 go from 150 to 118. Usually we're seeing positive numbers there. One thing I wanted to show you, and I've used this as an example with somebody I was coaching. I had a person who was a legal secretary come in and say, hey, I just lost my job and I made like $30 an hour. And I said, man, that's gonna be tough. That seems like a high end of the spectrum for that position. And so we actually pulled it up and found that in this area, as you can see, the Rogue Valley, looking at that median wage, we're looking at like $20 to $21 an hour. So I think it was even a little, I think we were looking over at this one, because what this means is the 75th percentile, and then the top 10%, that's what they're making, but the average is 20. So she went into an interview and wanted 30, but she was offered 20. And she said that she just looked at the state quality info website and said that, in this state, she should be making at least 23. And the attorney thought about it and ended up offering her $27 an hour, which is about $14,000 more a year. So that was a big win. And that's a good use for this tool. So whenever you go into a job interview, know what the pay should be in this area. Use this qualityinfo.org tool. And because rather than just taking what they list, which will typically be the lowest they think they could get away with, go in there and say, hey, I have the experience, I have what you're looking for, I have this, and this. And I know the average is about $20 an hour. And I think with my experience, I should be at like 23. And a lot of times I think they might go with that. Actually, we asked a group of panelists, all business owners and whatnot, what they thought of that. I actually was surprised with their answer. They said, when we get down to a candidate that we think's the best, spend all this time doing it, they're willing to go a couple dollars more quite often. So don't be afraid to ask. So there's a lot of other ways to use this tool. I'm not going to get into all of them, but just remember, again, qualityinfo.org. And this is a great way just to, again, find out how much that job should be paying in the area. So I want to go to another tool that we have. This one is focused. This comes from Rogue Workforce Partnership, and they're charged with holding some of our grants and creating like a one-stop sort of a situation. But one of the things they do is they look at the different sectors in the area, business sectors that really help promote economic growth. And they've determined that it's certain sectors, and I'll talk about those in a minute. It's actually coming across the screen right now, like construction, truck driving is one of them. Natural resources is a new one, but medical field is really big. When that's growing huge, people move here because they need that. They need hospitals and whatnot. So this website is kind of focusing on those sector strategies, we call it. And it has a lot of great information. It has career pathways, has different tests. It has a Tradeify test attached. There's a lot of videos up here, like YouTube videos. Some of the natural resource YouTube videos knock your socks off. Think you're going to war or something, fighting wildfires and whatnot. Pretty good stuff. But the other thing too is there's jobs listings on here. See, here's the career planning I was talking about, calendar of events, and then the job listings are through the career pathway button. So we've kept it pretty simple. There's also a little auto person here, forgot the term, suddenly, auto attendant, and you could talk to us directly. We're watching that throughout the day. You're actually talking to a person. So we're answering all kinds of questions through that. But this tool actually just has it's real simple to use. I really like it. Here's some of those videos and just talking about all the different kinds of information, and then local jobs. And this uses kind of a spider function, I heard it referred to once, and it's pulling all these different transportation jobs from all these different websites. I'm not the techiest person in the world, but it's pretty neat. I've actually had an employer on here looking at it, and they saw one of their job listings, and we were like, wow. So this is kind of ahead of the game. So if you're looking for a transportation job or medical job, there's a lot of great information in here, all these different jobs you can apply for them right through this website. And this is a great tool again, and it's called roguecareers.org. You just get to it that way. And it's pretty new still, so we're still trying it out and we like it. Okay, so moving on, we also have a lot of different tools that we use for career development, and in this case, trying to do, just try to figure out what direction to go. The discovery phase, I like to call it. And this particular tool, I used this even when I was in high school a long time ago, and it's great for just figuring out what kind of education you need for a particular job you might be interested in. There's also different kinds of, there's like a interest test on here. So it asks you like, do you like hammers or computers or nails or working outside? And it gives you some ideas of what you might do great at. And, you know, I wish I would have done more of these before my last quarter of college, because I was a business major and every test I took told me that I should be a teacher or a preacher. And so it wasn't until I actually started facilitating and teaching classes that I realized, oh, wait a second, I like this. So we have other tools like this too that are helpful, and we'd love to share them with you. So moving on here. Now this is our website, our local website, and it has a calendar of events, things that we're doing, also links to some of these other things we're talking about. Rogue Business website is one specifically for businesses that I hadn't really mentioned much. But one of the tools we have in here that I wanted to mention is actually our on-demand job or our online intro on demand program. So what this is we used to teach this, we used to have this class twice a week, and we wanted to make sure we could get it out to everybody. So we put it online, and it's just a PowerPoint presentation, has a lot of links in it, and it goes over the things that we do. And I'll be covering quite a few of them while we're talking. I just wanted to show you this. It's a useful tool. And also we just created a new career checklist here that you can click on, and it has a ton of links. It actually takes you to websites of a lot of the different programs that we have. So the next tool I wanted to show you is actually our job search tool. And this link's a little bit different. You can access this pretty easily through Oregon.gov. I kind of used a cheater link this time, but I wanted to show you how easy this is when you're looking for work. These are local jobs. You can look all over the state, but one of the ways I show people is just keep that blank and go to the location. You can, Ashland's in there, but I usually just click on Medford. It covers everything. And then just hit list jobs. And these are all the jobs that have been posted just today. Usually, I don't know right now with, you know, COVID ending and whatnot, I imagine it's even more, but typically we usually had about 350 to 450 different open positions in this area at any one time. So this goes on and on. It's just pages of different jobs, and it'll show sometimes how much they're paying, you know, how many hours, all this different kind of thing. And you can click on any of those and see how you apply for them. Each one could be a little bit different, but you can see quite a range of different jobs, and it just goes on and on. So a lot of information. How are we doing so far? Pretty good. All right, so I just want to talk about a couple other things too. I touched on them. It looks like we're getting close on time though, so I'll wrap it up. We okay? We're doing okay. Okay, got the thumbs up. Okay, so I also wanted to mention something that we're doing a lot more in out of the employment department, and that's training. We have a lot of different funding for different training right now. And that could be training from getting a CDL, which is super popular right now. Not a lot of places where you can get a month-long training and walk into like a $60,000 a year job. So that's a great one. Do a lot of CDLs. We have multiple funding sources to do that. There's 3 schools in town. RCC is one of them. They do a great job. And maybe you're working and want to do it in the evening. RCC would be a great fit for that. So we have medical trainings that we can provide that are online in different states: Utah, Idaho, Washington. I've helped facilitate a lot of interesting trainings that I never knew about. So a lot of funding for that. And we also have internal training that we do for soft skills, being able to interact with folks at work. Some people have trouble with that. Professional conversations are tough. It's hard to tell a coworker, like, hey, can you come back to work from lunch on time? It's just even that is sometimes really tough for folks. So we have multiple trainings along those pathways. We also, of course, have resume training, interview training, and we'd love to talk to you one-on-one and kind of figure out a fit for that. Some of the other things that we do, I just kind of touched on it: individual career coaching. We'll do an individual employment plan, figure out options. We partner with, all kinds of different organizations and schools, training providers. It's what we do. And, one of the hardest things it seems like in life is figuring out funding for maybe college and going. So we like to be a part of that and help out the best we can. Some of the other things that we do, we have a Launchpad series through a local partner. It's like coaching, and it's really helpful because all their coaching is based on just how we deal with trauma and things like that. And these are really great tools to help figure out how we react to certain circumstances, situations, why we perceive things the way we do. That's through Evolutionary Consulting, Tiffany Grimes, great organization. And we even have one-on-one coaching that we could provide for people. Also, I think one of the last things I'll probably mention, and then I'll mention our sectors again, but we also have rapid response sessions that we do for laid off folks where we talk about all these different things. We even make sure that there's somebody from like healthcare, insurance, OHP, that kind of stuff, DHS, different kinds of partners that might help in that circumstance. So the one last thing I did want to say is if you're interested in one of our sectors, which would be construction, healthcare, manufacturing, transportation, we also have a lot of different funding we can use for getting folks into jobs in those fields. So whether it's on the job training, that usually lasts about 3 months and we're paying for about half the wage, helps offset the training costs. We can also do up to 6 months paid internships. Those can get expensive, but if it's in our sector and it makes good sense, we love to do it. It's a win-win for both employers who are needing people and folks that are trying to get their feet into those industries. We also have special classes that we're doing for healthcare providers, caregivers specifically. That's a big one in this area. That all the healthcare providers are always needing caregivers, CNA1s. So we're always trying to figure out different ways that we can help in that area. There's probably a few more things that I could talk about, but that was quite a bit. Right now, we're kind of transitioning. We just started opening our doors a little bit. They're still locked, but we're finally letting people in for the first time in about a year, starting today. And by the end of the month, we should be fully open, which should be great. So you're welcome to come down at that time or now if you, especially if you need assistance with computers. We're making appointments still for that situation where you have difficulties with computers or don't have one. we definitely understand that. And like I said, at the end of the month, we should be fully open, which will be great. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. And I know that we have a partnership between WorkSource Rogue Valley and the library as well to get people access to computers to take their tests for different careers that they want to get into. So we're really excited about that partnership. I don't know if the volume is going down a little bit on my computer. My apologies if that is happening. Okay. Well, I'm going to type my contact information into the chat. It looks like we're a little quiet right now. And if everybody who's shared resources today can type into the chat, that would be awesome. I'm seeing Carrie Tannehill would like to say something, so hi.
Hi, I have a question for Hope, Joe, or Andrew, whoever wants to answer. I'm curious how the pandemic has changed the job market, or if that is something that you can anticipate yet.
Well, I guess I could speak to that. That's fine. Okay. So we, for BBSI and for what we jumped in and helped our employers keep their employees through PPP loans. So we jumped in and helped out as much as we could to keep people employed, which was really, really important for this local area and this job market. What we've seen is a lot of the candidates are the number of candidates that we used to see are just not applying. So we call this basically a candidates market. So if you want a job, you're going to get a job. And if you want a really great job, you should get it now. Because we do hope, and as the trends change and everything opens back up, people are going back to work. Right now, there's this beautiful sweet spot where people are paying a little bit higher than they normally would and offering bonuses. People that jump in now and get those jobs are going to get the best jobs. Because what's going to happen is all the other applicants that haven't been working or need to work or come back are going to start coming back, and the jobs are going to come down. And so if you know what you want to do, now's the time to find that job, because it's just going to change. We're going to see a shift. So it has changed the job market. There's no doubt about it. We've seen increases in wages and decreases in candidates. But I think that my hope is by the end of this year, we're going to see more normalcy in that. But we're trying to stay positive and keep moving forward. But I do know there's great jobs, and those great jobs are not going to last forever.
I'd say that was spot on. Like we have been trying to get folks into positions this whole time, and it's so difficult. There's just a ton of employers looking for jobs. It's almost like the employers have given up now. They're still going to have to try, though. We've seen companies close down because they can't get enough employees. And that's companies that have been around for a long time. Even today, I tried to call an applicant, and it was the worst start to a call possible. Like, oh, who is this? I've applied for so many jobs. How much does it pay? And even as an employer, I'm kind of thinking like, oh my goodness, we really need people. So I'm going to continue this conversation. Whereas in a normal time, it'd be like, okay, well, never mind. And so, if you're needing a job right now, you could probably get it, and probably get a job that even maybe you couldn't normally. So jump on it, like Hope said, for sure.
I would, aside from agreeing with Hope and Joe for sure, I would say two things that I personally noticed and read about. Number one, this is not surprising. Remote work is going to skyrocket. Remote work is here to stay. That's going to look like different things in different industries, and even in a more nuanced fashion, individual companies. So some organizations are probably going to adopt a lot of hybrid models where they'll be on campus. This is to an extent what RCC has been doing very gradually over the past year. Once the pandemic hit, campus was completely closed. But then my division, Student Affairs, starting last fall term, has done like a partial reopen. So sometimes a couple of representatives will be on one of the campuses, and then we'll work the rest of a regular work week remotely. So I think that this dynamic is going to stick. And another reason is because as the years go by, you're going to have more hiring managers among the millennial and Gen Z generations, and they advocate for remote work heavily, especially when you weigh that with a lot of their values like environmental sustainability. Oh, we can accomplish a lot of what we need to do without driving 30 minutes one way and back every day. You know, why not? You know, those kinds of things. So I can tell you that remote work is going to skyrocket, partially by intention and partially by accident, because we've been thrust into this crazy situation, and some of us have realized, hey, it's challenging, but we're making it in some ways. We can actually do it in some, you know, capacity. And the other thing that is, depending on how you interpret it, optimistically, you could consider this a silver lining. I was reading an article about this yesterday, and it's, you know, what Hope and Joe have just described is not unique to the Rogue Valley. I believe it's more or less a nationwide trend with like a almost unprecedented amount of job openings and not enough candidates to fill them. What the pandemic has done to a lot of individuals on the human level, as human beings who happen to be part of a workforce, it's made us really reevaluate our lives, our circumstances, and what we want. It's forced us into a lot of introspection. As a result of that, some people who were working you know, full-time, or who were laid off and were supposed to return, or were supposed to come back to the office after working remotely, decided I don't want to do that anymore, because it took the pandemic for some of them to realize what we're talking about today, which is I'm interested in a career change. I'm interested in exploring other opportunities. I've sort of hit burnout at my other job, and I'm going to advocate for myself more. And so I think it's great. And especially in tandem with what Joe was talking about in terms of advocating for yourself with your salary, and what Hope described as like the sweet spot. Now more than ever is the time to take that and run with it. So if there's, you know, something you've really been thinking about wanting to do, and you just haven't done it yet, really reconsider now more than ever, because I think that employers are pretty generally speaking willing to be gracious and flexible. And a lot of the employers with whom I've spoken, again, I've said this before, I talked to one of Joe's colleagues, and he told me, you know, I represent multiple employers from different industries, and some of them are like, if they have no experience, that's fine. We'll teach them everything they want to know and need to know on the job, as long as, and that list that Hope showed you, you know, as long as we feel like they're a good fit, as long as they have a strong work ethic, as long as they're willing to learn, as long as they can work in a team, all of these things. So attitude is everything, as they say. And I think right now that applies even more so. So an increase in remote work, Carrie, to answer your questions. And secondly, just a lot of reevaluation and career changes are going to happen. You're going to have some people who before the pandemic, which we, you know, obviously didn't expect, had pretty much in their mind resigned. I'm going to be doing this one career, this one job for the duration. You know, 14 months later, their mentality couldn't be more different. So it's interesting. The only constant is change. And what we just discussed, while true, is just tips of the proverbial iceberg. I mean, so many other changes as a result of the pandemic are happening. And it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like. But I think that regardless, you know, a strong work ethic and the willingness to learn and continue to reskill yourself and value those transferable skills and be resilient. That's the common denominator. That's what's going to help someone who's truly motivated, I think, succeed no matter what.
Thank you so much to everybody who's been talking with us tonight. So that kind of concludes what we're talking about. And thank you everybody for being here tonight.